Hey everybody, welcome to Your Unpaid Therapists.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Your Unpaid Therapist.
I'm not getting paid. I didn't even get a donut.
Oh, that's sexy though. I like it. I'm Valery Milagros Ortiz. I don't know.
I am your host, Alikona. She's away. Brad Ford. This is Your Unpaid Therapist. Shoo-wah, cha-cha.
Shoo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba.
Hey, see ya. Hota. Hi everybody. You know who I am. And my fabulous friend.
And if you don't know who I am, my name is Valery Ortiz. And I don't have a for you.
But I know you guys don't know. Well, you might know who this guy is. You might. I mean, if you like CWs in the dark, or if you like blue people, then
or
you
if
know
you play video games, you might have heard his voice. Or if you went to college with him, like I did.
UCF.
This is Keston John, everyone. And he's our guest. And it's so exciting. Okay, so as you guys know, we usually have Matt with us. And he's our
unpaid therapist.
Our actual unpaid therapist. And we were just so excited. Obviously, it was just life and talking and conversations, and we all hang out. And we're like, we need a straight male's perspective. And this, again, we were actually just laughing about this. I have my Invisalign, and we haven't talked about this. Maybe once in one episode. So if you guys ever hear like us, like a suckering succotash, I am now wearing Invisalign. Alikona has hers. Matt has his. So the person who's got...
I'm left out.
Yeah, well, you're going to have the clearest, most enunciated words. But yeah, here we have Keston. And we're so excited to get in. But before we get into the topic.
Well, we'll tell you the topic, and then we're going to get into our never have evers.
Tell us.
So today we wanted to talk about, and through observation and conversation, I've come to realize that my upbringing is not so normal. But what's normal? However, Val had always seemed to, the things that she tells her mom, I'm like, oh, that's so weird. But it's not. It's normal to you. So anyways, we just want to talk about how different upbringings make you who you are, and just relation. It's just so interesting. So yeah, but first, we have to never have I ever.
And let's have Keston start.
Yes.
Okay.
Pick a card, any card.
Wow.
And then you'll answer it, and then we'll...
Okay.
So we'll do
proceed.
The same thing.
You pick one,
Anyone?
flip it. Yeah, and you'll say, never have I ever, and then read what's on the... Wait, you're showing the audience.
Sorry. All right. Never have I ever wished someone bad, something bad would happen to someone, and then it did.
Ooh.
I mean, I haven't. Is that,
Okay,
is that what I say? Is that what I say? Okay, all right. I was like, I don't have to think about that
one. Never have I ever wished something... No. No, I've never wished something bad would happen to someone, and then it did.
But you've wished something bad, and it didn't happen.
Neither.
I'm
no.
just kidding.
Trying to trap you. Try. No, that was good. No. No, I'm trying to really think about where something bad would happen to someone and then it did. No, I don't think I've ever really wished, like... No. I was because I guess I was trying to think of, like, okay, like when I was, my relationship didn't work. Was I like, well, F you? My relationships, neither of them, my biggest ones that I would talk about, they didn't end like that. You know what I have? I will say this, actually. This is kind of interesting. I have wished like karma would get people who've done stuff to other people that I love. Like, like if somebody like hurt my brother, or like somebody disrespected my mom or something like that, or like a best friend, right? That you're like, you know what? Ooh, I can't wait till karma.
Oh yeah.
Them. So that I have felt that before.
Yeah.
Strongly.
Yeah.
Did it happen? Did anything happen?
Actually, for some people, yes.
Okay.
Like the karma came around, and it was, and not in a bad way, but in like a very satisfactory way of like, I'm so glad that exists, where sometimes, and actually nope, I'm not going to get into the specifics of something specifically that I'm thinking about. I'll say specifics one more time. But yes, there was a certain thing in my life that happened where years later, things just turned out how it was supposed to, And I always say what's in the dark always comes to light. And it did. And I didn't have to push it there. Like I didn't have to be the one who put the flashlight on it, and that was very like satisfying.
Okay.
What about you?
No, we're all good people here. I may have been in high school and been like, ooh, I wish they would just break up because she's not good.
Yes.
She's not good enough for him.
Yeah.
And eventually they do because it's a teenage relationship. But did he like me after that? No.
Didn't turn out the way you wanted it.
No.
Okay. Let me go. I'm gonna pick. Oh, there's two. No, never mind. I thought there's more. Okay. Never have I ever given my number to a man out of pity. Then. Oh wait, we did this one. Oh, sorry, y'all.
Fired. She's fired.
Sorry. No, I'm not fired. I didn't get that one. We did that one in another episode, so you'll have to
Watch it.
to
There
find
you
out. Let's see. Of course. Oh god, we talked about this during the break. Never have I ever eaten my own boogers or fed them to the dog. So let me tell y'all. So we each
What?
exactly. Wait a minute. So we each take turns writing these never have I ever's, right? And when I read this and printed it up and glued it on this card today, I was like, nah, I'm gonna throw this away. What the heck? And I was like, no, I'm gonna keep it.
Yeah.
And then I added a different one because I wasn't sure where this first one was going. So I asked Alikona about it. And then she explained. So I'm going to let you explain to the people.
Yeah, you got some explaining
First of all,
to do.
my answer is no.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
No for me too.
That's
Okay,
please explain.
I've not eaten my own boogers. That's gross. But have I fed my boogers to the dog? Yes.
What? It's a nutrition supplement or something? Like.
Okay, so here's what
I
happened.
want to know, okay, because you said you were a kid. And then I just want to know, well, you were a kid. I guess that's it. That's all I got to know.
Define child.
You
Because
tell me.
I'm becoming a young adult.
How old are we talking?
I mean, Lonnie Christ had some boogers, but that was when she was a puppy. Look, this is how I discovered this, okay?
Yes, I need to know.
I was having a sad day. I was crying. My dog was licking my face, and she just kept licking my nose. And I
Oh,
was
you
like,
were
stop.
crying.
And she
Okay.
kept licking the snot out. And I was like, you must really like the flavor. And so then
Oh.
when I was younger,
So funny.
I would be sleeping in bed with my dog, and I wouldn't want to get out of bed to get a Kleenex, so I would just pick my nose, and then the dog would eat it. So I'm like, great.
That's
so gross.
Honestly, after this, like, I need all the DMs, all the comments, all the whatever on anybody else who's done this. Because
I mean-
y'all, you are her people, she's your people, and we need to know who else has done. You can't be the only one.
No,
Right?
He must be like salty or something.
I
and
don't know, but I'm sure there's somebody out there
haven't
who's
done it
gonna be like,
lately.
me too, girl.
if that's helpful, I haven't done it lately.
Thank you for clarifying that. Go ahead and pick your.
Yeah, pick a car. Pick a car. Y'all gonna have to have a whole episode just on that.
You know what's even sadder is my boo is like in the other area of this room, probably listening to this. Like, that is nasty.
And just to clarify, her boo is our sound engineer.
Yes,
so,
One Up
yes.
Production.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I want to do something. Let's see. I mean, I'm like, hold on,
Okay,
we've done
yeah,
that one.
go
I'm
ahead.
like, that's
Let's
kind of
just-
not fair. I'm like, going through here, just kind of.
Switch up the energy.
Yeah.
Well, and she's doing this for those of you because we recorded an episode
Oh.
and we a lot of the ones
Read
that
it.
never have evers that we got were kind of like want and I don't know, when you get some fun ones, it kind of shakes
Lightens
up
it
the
up.
energy
Exactly.
of the episode. So that's why she's doing that. She's not cheating.
Yeah, because we already know we tend to talk about some deep stuff on this
Yeah.
podcast. We just want to make sure it's not all like, you know,
Yeah, no.
don't feel heavy the whole time. I feel like shit. I'm the one that's getting found out on this podcast. Let me tell you.
I mean, boogers and all.
Never have I ever laughed so hard I sprinkled in my pants ... when I wasn't home where I could change.
Okay.
That's so specific.
I've
exactly.
no, I've never.
Matt was like, "Tell me your Alikona without telling me your
Right?
Alikona."
That's it.
When it's super specific,
I'm gonna make some vague questions going forward.
tell us what happened.
I've not. That thank God I have not had that happen.
You haven't. So where
No,
did that
but
come
I
from?
mean, you've not like I've never. Have you ever laughed so hard you peed your pants? I've not.
No.
But I have.
My mom has. It's the cutest thing. Oh my gosh, since she's been like a certain age.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so we were playing like charades or something with like the family one time. And now this is kind of a thing that happens often. But somebody had to my mom. Okay, so my mom got the card milk. And so she had to act milk. And so then she starts doing all these funny things like, breastfeeding and I mean, my mom's like 4'11". She has a huge accent. Obviously you can't talk, and then so she's doing all these things and like she like crosses her little legs and she's like, I'm gonna pee. And she's saying this in Spanish. But now that's like the thing. Like anytime my mom crosses her little legs, like it's over. Like
gosh.
She can't laugh too hard.
That's awesome.
And so I was like, I can't wait to that age.
That's not happening to me. But so like it's like heavy and not heavy. So when I was younger in my 20s, I was an egg donor for somebody, and like part of the process is they have to retrieve the eggs. I don't know what happens. They put you to sleep, but they did something to where it is common that your body reacts as if you were pregnant. And I guess when you're pregnant, like your bladder is real weak, so you could jump up and down and
heard that.
you tinkle your pants.
Yeah.
So after that happened, I was an egg donor. I have sneezed so hard that I was like,
that's so crazy. And how long did it take to change or to fix, or I guess go back to normal?
Go back to normal. I feel like maybe a year or two, but it's not like I sneezed all the time. It's just like if you have to go to the bathroom really bad and you just happen to sneeze, you're like, oh damn.
That's crazy. By the way, we do have a future episode talking about her experience with egg donating and stuff like that, and I cannot wait to get into that episode. Funny.
Welcome to the show, Keston.
Oh, I'm here. Talking about boogers, all kinds of stuff.
Peeing on yourself. Paid therapist. Awesome. So okay, it was so interesting to me. I think. So the way it started, the Alikona, I think I was talking to Alikona about my dating apps and like things with like guys and like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah. So, and then I told my mom and she was like, what? Like you were telling your mom that or whatever? I was like, yeah, I talked to my mom about everything. And I've talked to my mom about that. Actually, I told her that you said that. And I just thought it was such an interesting thing. But for sure, my relationship with my mom changed because I think I told you this. I'm not sure. After my divorce, like my mom came, she came to like help me move, and we took a trip to the Grand Canyon, and it was the first time that during the road trip and during, our little excursions and stuff, and she had never been to Vegas, where I like talked to my mom as a woman and had these conversations about like her past and her stuff with my dad and like my stuff. And I think ever since then, we've become even closer. So it's I love that too, because obviously there's always like something beautiful that comes out of something tragic or sad. And that was that relationship with my mom. So ever since then, it's just like I see her as a woman and not just my mom. And then that was so neat to get to hear her stories about like when her and my dad broke up and like who the people she dated, whatever. So that's when that changed for our relationship. And we bonded on a different level. But then you were like,
oh, and I was just saying, like, for me, I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. We don't cross the mother-daughter border, but I also had a very different upbringing.
Right.
But I was telling Val that like highlighted for me how different, they are very familial and they go on trips and they do all these things and they talk about stuff. And I was like, my family's not like that, or how much they encourage you and support you. And then in talking to Val, I was talking about you because so Keston and I, we've become friends through Val, but we also started writing together, so we converse a lot, and we've talked about your parents and your family upbringing, and we have some similarities. And so it's just interesting because we've talked about the fact that sometimes, I'm not going to speak for you, but I've said like operating out of fear because of the criticism or whatever we dealt with, and how I wonder if I'm where I'm at in my life today. I actually said this to her on the phone because of my upbringing and not having that, I believe in you, you're talented, you're this, you're that. have I self-sabotaged where I've had mediocre success? And Val's, in my opinion, my perception, had wonderful success, but also had a great support system. But then you've had a lot of success too. So then that debunks my theory.
Well, like, you know, I think for me, it was mixed. It was mixed support. So, you know, at first, my mom cried when I told her what I wanted to do with my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she cried when I told her I wanted to be an actor.
What would she have wanted you to be?
Because before I was like, I want to be a doctor. Like, I was a kid and I was like, well, it was pilot. And then I was like, I want to be a doctor. And then I was like, I want to be an actor. As soon as I found it in middle school. And she cried. And she's like, I don't want you doing that. I want you to go to this school because they have a really good school. And this is your path. And, you know, coming from the West Indies, that's like a sort of a path. You know, you go to nursing school, you come to the States, you know, do your whole thing. So being a doctor would have been like the pride and joy of her life. But one of her friends at work was just like, you need to let him do what he wants to do. And so I think she supported me from that moment on, but the support from my like other half of my stepdad and stuff was not there. You know, like when I moved out here, he was like, oh, you're doing a pipe dream, you know? And so, yeah, it's just.
Didn't you say that your stepdad at one point didn't talk to you for a few months or something?
Oh yeah, no. I mean that's sort of when we're growing up. Like he would walk in the house and not say anything to anyone. Like but you had to say good afternoon. You had to say, like it's. Looking back, like I would never do this to my daughter. I would never. It was mentally messed up because you're sort of expecting a child to say, hey, good afternoon, you know, like this, like almost like soldier way. And you're not saying anything to them on purpose. So yeah, it was emotionally abusive, but that's sort of, you know, I think that encouraged me. That, I just always have had that. Like, tell me I can't do something, and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because you said I can't do it.
Yeah. There's a quote, actually, and I wrote this down. It says, some people thrive in adversity and others get knocked down by it. And we talked about this last night, so that sounds like that helped you.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Almost.
100%. Yeah, that passion that I had for, honestly, as a kid, hating that person. I don't think I've ever talked about this like on camera. So this is interesting. That passion that I've had.
You don't
for
have to go into
just no, yeah, I know. I just that passion that I had for disliking that person as a teenager because of what they did to us as children. Definitely fueled my acting. It fueled everything. People are like, where's this depth coming from? It's like, well, I had a whole childhood. Like I had a whole like my wife laughs because like I was home alone at 5. Like
what?
Oh, 100%. I was like before I went to go live with my mom and my dad. I was living with my dad, and so yeah, I was taking care of myself at a very young age. So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just had to become an adult like very early. So like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that just, it says so much too. And just like, I feel like just as a friend and seeing you grow up throughout the years, not that like we're like that's so old, but like I just feel like you're such a problem solver and like such a doer, so that makes so much sense knowing that. And just to go like back on like, you know, something that you don't talk about a lot, which is the reason why we wanted to do the podcast and have these conversations, because a lot of times, you know, people see our highlight reels, our TikToks, our Instas, and they have this idea that like, or even just your own close friends, which is like of like, oh, I would have thought your childhood was X, Y, or Z because it just, you know, the way you are now. And it's just so important, I think, and so helpful for others. Like I said a quote in another episode about, I show people my scars so that they can see that they can heal. And so it's just being open about things that you've outgrown or maybe are still healing from, to show other people like it's like we all have things and help each other.
Well, and especially too, and one of the things that Val and I had discussed is the fact that you two are more public personas than I am. You know, like I've done my things, but you guys have done it a larger scale. So you do have a fan base of people that have watched your TV show or your TV show. So when you're at home and you watch people on TV, you assume like they're in Hollywood and they're on TV and their life is great. And I think one of the cool things in my experience in this industry is I did start off, dancing and then hosting. And as a host, I was always interviewing actors. And when the cameras would turn off, people were having the same problems that I was having. So I got an up close look at the fact that, hold on, like, they're just humans that happen to do
100%.
something in the spotlight. But that's not something that other people that are not in LA get to experience and understand. Right. So it's like easy to beat yourself up or whatever the case may be and be like, well, their life is so perfect. And it's like, no.
Right.
They're people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also think twice before you shame people. Like celebrities do stuff and people like shame the hell out of them. And it's like,
well, cancel culture right now specifically too is, I don't know. And is that a social media thing that's like so prevalent right now? And making mistakes is like, you can't, everything's just so fragile, I feel like, with what you can say or can't say or do or not do. And it's like, dang, like you can't even be human almost without people just being done with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I don't really post very much. To be honest, you're
actually
unless
really
there's
good.
stuff going on, like, unless there, and there's always stuff going on, but unless there's like something to post about, a show coming out, I'm always working in the background, but I don't necessarily want to put that out because I don't know. There's a little bit of like, there's a lot of judgment. There's a lot of judgment online, and it's like, you just don't know where someone's at. You don't know what's going on in someone's life. And to be honest, anyone can say anything to you online. So, I post stuff of my family, but it's rare.
So, but let me ask you this, because you played a villain on TV.
Sure.
Did you ever have somebody cross the line and talk to you like you were Darnell, I should say, and forget that you're Keston and Keston is such a different person?
Not so much Darnell. I feel like In the Dark fans have been pretty cool. People do, Darnell, they call me by that character name, and that's all good. That's fine. But no, not so much that. Honestly, the one that I've received the most weird things about, Chicago Fire.
What?
Really?
The weirdest.
Why? What did you do?
Because I was a guy in a gang who was trying to escape another gang shooting, and so I went. Oh, sorry, hit the mic. Sorry. Went into the firehouse to try and escape that gang and try to heal my buddy. So I've had the weirdest, racist.
What?
Oh, 100%. Weirdest racist comments. Like, if I showed you this one, I deleted it and I reported it to Facebook, but she just went on about, like, you monkey this, I'd be like, all this stuff. And then another guy, same show, like, I bet you feel so powerful doing that to white men. Like, like, we'll see if I was showing up, what would you do? And I was like, yo, bruh, this is a television show. One. And two, like, relax. And I just told him, like, we don't need any of that here. Like, on my page in a public forum, like, that's just,
This is America.
Yeah. But not so much for In the Dark. Yeah.
Disappointing. Yeah. Ugh.
Also, like, Darnell's a sort of bad guy that becomes a good guy. So,
And it's like you, like, different. What? I don't know, like, because there's so many moments in there that felt like so, like, you want it to work out for him. In a weird way. A quote that I found again that's kind of with this episode, and I want to know what you guys think about it, was identity was partly heritage, partly upbringing, but mostly the choices you make in life. What do you think?
I love that, and that the whole thing about choices, because you don't have to follow in the footsteps of the person who taught you.
Yeah.
And you don't have to allow certain bad events to influence
Define you.
100%.
how you behave in the future,
100%.
if that makes sense. So I do believe, because we've talked so much on this show about our past and how it dictates, especially because we do have our unpaid therapist here, so I'm always picking the brain.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say for myself, and not in a like, let me pat myself on the back, but I've made a lot of conscious choices to not be the person I was raised by, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But I think I pat yourself on the back though. I think that's important because I feel like we don't give ourselves enough credit or for things like that, because that is not easy, especially the things that you've gone through from a very young age. And you too, Keston, like anybody, for our listeners, watchers and stuff like that, like, yes, pat yourself on the back, because I can't relate, so I could only empathize with those things. But even hearing you say your stories, I'm like, that is amazing to have experiences like that and yet still decide and choose to like, no, but I'm gonna do this, and I'm still gonna fight for that, and you know what, I'm still gonna forgive my mom, or you know what, like I can still talk about my dad and respect what that was in that time, and see them as a human for whatever, that's not easy. And then you've even talked that you've never done therapy and stuff, so to be able to do all this stuff on your own, and I don't know, pat yourself on the back.
What were the three? Culture?
Yeah, so it says heritage,
Heritage.
partly upbringing. So partly heritage, partly upbringing, but mostly the choices you make.
Interesting. I mean, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because I recently heard something about parenting that was just like, we are not these like your children are not these blank slates that we write on. They are actually, they already have interesting things going on within them from birth, given to them through both parents, and your job is to sort of shepherd them through the world, like a shepherd and his sheep. So like you're introduce them to as many interesting things and as many things that might lend their path. But what if you don't have a good shepherd?
Yeah.
Your choices are kind of limited to your own desire to say, okay, like I'm going to take what I knew and either I'm going to do the exact opposite, or I'm going to, use these choices to kind of build upon what I was given by my parents or, my heritage.
What do you think about this? And you too, Alikona, children learn more from what you are than what you teach.
100%. 100%. She, like, my daughter watches us and, she's watching even when we're not. She's watching and listening even when we're not speaking directly to her. And so
and even from your own childhood, like y'all could relate to that.
Of course. Well, I mean, even if you had, like, let's say you grew up in a home with a lot of fighting and you think it's just you and your husband fighting, like I can hear you. I can hear you say, I can hear you disown me behind closed doors, because I did hear that.
Right.
That was really hurtful, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not my daughter. My daughter wouldn't do something that stupid.
Right.
And I know you're just saying that out of frustration, but when you're a child and you hear that, you're like, I don't know, like my parent doesn't even like want to own me, So those things are, but I don't want to make it all like woe is me. I will say I commend. First of all, I think it's awesome and amazing that your parents have raised you with such love and support. And maybe it hasn't always been like that. I don't know, but from what I've seen, like that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you are so lucky, and I hope more people have that. And for those of you who do have that, that's amazing. Like, don't find problems because all of your friends are complaining that they had some awful thing in their life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to do that when you're having a beautiful day and you're at the office at work and everyone's complaining and you just want to belong, so you just start complaining too.
Sure.
Anyways, and I also want to commend you, Keston, because obviously having that upbringing, you're like, well, I have a kid now. I'm not going to do that. And we won't get too deep because we're like limited on time. But Val and I and you and I have talked about the fact that you've approached Lark with gentle parenting.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's such a different thing that I don't think we had the knowledge. Our parents didn't have that knowledge.
No, our parents definitely didn't have that knowledge. I mean, when it comes to just going back on what you were saying before, like, it's a Tony Robbins quote, I think, but he's, it's never too late to have a great childhood.
Ooh.
And I think I've adopted that.
Tell me, that's interesting. It's to have a great childhood.
Yeah, because he speaks about having, just being in a sort of a not a great mother, son relationship, but it's never too late to decide that, like, hey, like, essentially it wasn't that bad. It made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So you can either be an adult and continue to blame your parents and look back, or you can decide, you know what, like, it made me who I am today, and I'm grateful for that experience. And so I think that's what he means by saying, like, you know what, just decide that you're going to move past that. But it's not even like, it's not that you don't deal with it and deal with the trauma, but it's just saying, like, okay, well, it made me who I am. It made me the strong person that I am. And as much as I hated those experiences then, like, I'm grateful for who I am today, kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. That's like such a perfect ending to just, really tapping into gratitude at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And accepting where you are now is sometimes very hard, but super necessary.
Yeah.
And I think an important step to moving on, because if you are still thinking, and I have my moments where obviously I talk about my past or what have you, but if you are living in the misery of your childhood, then that's your choice now, and you're doing that continuously today and going forward. So it's making the choice to let go for your own self so you can be happy.
You have to. I mean, I don't want to speak specifically, but there were 5 of us, and we all turned out different. And I think part of that is just like certain, like some of my siblings just held on to that trauma.
But isn't that interesting? They say, like, and I don't know if you were telling me that.
And I can't blame them.
Right.
I can't blame them because I saw what it was to be in that house, but you just gotta let it go. At a certain point, you just have to decide that you're going to let it go and do different for your kid. Like you were talking about the gentle parenting. It's become a thing that out of decision that we decided that it's not about just like no rules. It's about having, being firm, but being kind. The best coach you ever had.
Yeah.
Not only pointing out the things that they do wrong, but pointing out all the things that they're doing right and helping them grow. It wasn't an easy decision for me to come to get to the gentle parenting place because of how I was raised and how, like they were like, you raise, spare the rod, you spoil the child. We were getting spankings, you know what I mean? And so, of course, I came to parenting like, this is what you do. And then it dawned on me at one point, you can't, if I spank her for hitting someone, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you just start to evolve. That's our job as humans to just like take the base that we started with and grow on, expand on and grow.
And you and Lacey do such a beautiful job. And I know you guys aren't super public on socials and stuff like that, but his wife Lacey, she's both of you, but she's not here, so I'm just gonna just shout her out because she's just super knowledgeable and patient, and like you both as a team, it's cool. And just as a friend, anybody, we don't have kids, but to see your friend raise their child with their significant other, their spouse or whatever, it's such a cool thing, and it just feels very like, we are the honorary titis and uncles and all this stuff, but it's just really neat. And then I want children, and I tell this to Lacey all the time, I'm just like, when it's my turn, like I'm gonna be asking all the questions for all the recipes, all the parenting.
We are here. We're here.
Yeah, we're here. Advice, because you guys do a really beautiful job, super balanced, and I think obviously it's not easy, but thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Thank you for being on the podcast with us. Me. We're short in time. And obviously always thank you to Frank, to T. Michael. T. Michael's doing our sound. Frank is doing all the things and making sure we're on time. Today we were on time. Yeah. Until next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys later. Bye, friends.
Adios.